Hi, my name is Mara Blackmore. I'm a fourth year student at the University of Aberdeen. This talk is about my work I did for my dissertation that was towards my archaeology degree with the university on the Mither Tap, Bennachie, Aberdeenshire in Scotland. The Mither Tap in Bennachie is a range of hills in the Geary area in Aberdeenshire, which is roughly Bennachie here. It's an area encompassing West Hill to Huntly and roughly Afford to Meldon. So it's roughly this area here, if you look at the Geary area on the map. The Mither Tap, which is this lovely hill here, is been looked at as a landmark in the Geary countryside for centuries by visitors and locals alike when they pass it. It's very recognisable when you see it in the countryside. It's not the highest point. It's roughly about 518 metres, I think. The highest point being Oxen Craig, which is about 528 metres. That's highest point, but like I said, it's the most distinguishing feature of Bennachie. And when I was doing this dissertation, obviously I had to climb the hill. I developed a love-hate relationship with this hill. I loved to look at it from afar, but I hated to climb it at times, especially in bad weather. So my research questions for the dissertation, some of them were, was it local people that did the carvings, or was it people passing through the area? How did people view Bennachie? And what do we already know about graffiti historically? So these are the kind of questions I was looking at for my dissertation. So what is graffiti? Good question. Graffiti is writing or drawings made on a wall or other surface, usually as a form of artistic expression without permission and within public view, and it can range from simple written words to elaborate wall paintings. Some people view this type of graffiti seen pictured here as a crime because it's found where it shouldn't belong, and because its intent and messages can be slippery and subjective as well. So it might not always mean good things. It could mean bad things, or just be an artist graffiti tag, as they say. But graffiti can give us an insight into the historic world as well. So why is historic graffiti important? Historically, graffiti has been found all around the world and in all civilizations. So it's not a new concept. It's been a widespread feature of the ancient world, and again, it can be found on surfaces where it didn't belong. Graffiti was found at Pompeii, and it was found to relate to political statements, an example here of it, and legislative activities, basically saying vote for this person, or this person was at this sauna or place at this time. And the Romans seemed to use the graffiti as a voice of protest as well. When the Vikings broke into the tomb of Maeshowe in Orkney, they left some runic graffiti there, which consisted of their names and telling us they were there at that time. And they also left a drawing of a dragon, but I don't think they've actually worked out why, but that's what the Vikings did when they broke into the tomb. And these types of graffitis gives a snapshot into the past with historical and social details of the time. It offers us a window into the world of the people that were writing it as well. And by looking at other types of graffiti, this may offer us a glimpse into who may have been climbing the Mither Tap at the time and carving their names up at the top. And graffiti is seen as a visual illustrated history of human endeavour, aggression, cooperation, experience and accomplishment. And people have marked places with individual identities for years and years and years. And by doing this, they're making statements to themselves and maybe to others as well about the place. Basically, they could be claiming that part of the landscape as their own, or it could be saying, I was here at this time. I've left my mark behind, so everyone knows I was here, that sort of thing. So, as you can see from these slides, it is pretty open up at the top of Mither Tap. There is no hiding from this lovely Scottish weather that we get. So it did make for an interesting risk assessment. And as far as I know, university covered me for the insurance, so I was okay. They let me go up there. I always had somebody with me as well, so I was never up there alone. And I was dropped into Bennachie Centre and said I was going up the hill, so they knew I was up there when I came back down. So that's sort of like precautions I had to take as well. And when you're doing this type of research, weather comes into play, this sort of thing. As I said, it's pretty open at the top of the Mither Tap. So it is pretty windy up there. If it's only 3 miles per hour at the bottom of the hill, up at the top of the hill, it's can get up to 30 miles per hour when you get up there. So it's sort of 10 times what the wind speed is at the bottom of the hill. So you had to check like weather charts, the mountain weather forecasts as well. I think it was the Cairngorms kind of check because that was closest to us. What the weather was like at the top of there. And if it wasn't too bad there, which is a lot taller than the Mither Tap, I was okay then. So, and one of my friends was telling me to face the risk. So basically you walk towards the risk, you don't turn your back on it like I did here. But sometimes I thought the F meant something else as well at times. And like I said, the weather can change in a few hours when you're up there. It can go from sunny, it can be windy, it can rain, probably could get snow up there at this time of year. You just don't know when you're up there, so you've got to be prepared for all weather conditions. And obviously, when you can't see the hill, and it's really like low cloud, like this one, obviously I didn't climb it because it would be too dangerous. I wouldn't be able to see where I was going. You just wouldn't be seeing in front of you, basically. So it was too dangerous to climb it. But it's this sort of conditions. I just had to abandon that day. I think I went to pub instead. That was an abandoned day for that type of research. My methods that I used, I experimented with quite a few things to see what would work when I was up at the top of the tap and what would be best to capture all these carvings that were top there. So obviously I started with photography and that worked. Simple to take up, just digital camera to take up with me. I tried experimenting with black and white photos as well when I got back, see if that would bring the carvings out any better. It didn't really do, maybe it was my photography skills, but it didn't really do anything that I could see that could make it better. So I just stuck to colour photos, as you'll see in the next slide. This is best done on a cloudy day, because if it was really sunny, you've got the problems with shadows getting into your photographs. Then it sort of means you've got to do weird yoga poses to try and stop the shadows being in your photograph at the time. So I took lots of photos as well, so I had to go and sort them when I came home again that day. Next method I tried was coloured sand. One of my friends had seen this on this programme that I'd watched. They'd done it, I think it was in France, sand of trying to capture carvings and that. So I thought, I'll give it a go. So I went down to the local hobby craft store and picked up some sand. It was a messy way of trying to bring out the carvings. I had problems keeping it contained because it was just in little tubes. And then I poured it on, it kind of went a bit everywhere. I had a brush, try and brush it into the carvings. So it was problematic when I was at the top of the hill. But it did sort of work. It did help to bring out the carvings a bit better. And then I took photographs of them as well. So you can see here, that's a photograph of the sand and the carvings there. Next method I tried was water, which just consisted of a spray bottle, which I brought off the internet, and spray the carvings. That worked best when it was really sunny, because sometimes the sun shone down, you couldn't really see them very well. The only problem with that was I had to take a 2 litre bottle of water up the hill each day when I was using that method. But at least when I was coming down the hill, the bottle was empty, so there's an empty bottle to take back with me. So that was the best part. Sometimes the water bottle stuck as well, so I just poured the water onto the carvings, then had to wait for the sun to dry up a bit. But that did actually work quite well with trying to bring out the carvings and to bring them out a bit more so I could sort of see what they were as well. Sketching, obviously. The that worked as well. That was a way I could pick up any detail that the camera may have missed on the hill. Again, it's limited equipment, so it's not much to be taken up the hill. I also use my eye and put my finger in around the carvings, and I'll try and work out what they were as well when I was doing sketching, so I could try and get some more detail in, as much detail as I could in there. The only method I tried that didn't work was tracing. That wasn't great because the ground was too rough and uneven for this method to work. It does work best on smooth surfaces. I know people have done it on gravestones. So it does actually work best on smooth surfaces, like I said. But the only problem with that, because it can get very windy at the top of the Mither Tap, it did blow away one day, and I didn't chase it off the hill, I'm afraid. I wasn't running after it. That was the only problem with the tracing paper. There's two problems with that, sorry. A, blown off the hill, and B, it was just too rough. So I gave up on that idea, so I didn't use that method at all. And here's the carvings. I recorded some of the carvings top of the Mither Tap. There's quite a few up there, but I recorded the most ones that I could actually see as well. So the methods that I tried, as I said, were all the methods. These are the colour photographs that I took to help bring them out as well. Also, to record where the carvings were on the hill, I did offset recording, which meant I took a tape measure from one edge of the Mither Tap to the other edge of the Mither Tap and taped it down. And then wherever the carvings were, I took another tape measure off of that tape measure to measure 4 points of the carvings. So for instance, for this one, I measured the 4 corners of it here to get the position where it was on the Mither Tap. When I was up there on the hill doing all this research, I had quite a few people who were asking me questions, interested to learn more about what I was doing and that. There was one person who wasn't very happy when I was up there. This one person did look a bit disgruntled. I don't know if the person was very happy about me doing this when I had to take measure up on the hill. But other people were fine, like I said. And I know for a fact people have done worse up that hill than take a tape measure up the hill. I have inside information on that one. And here's the carvings. So these sketches are exactly the same pictures as this pictures here. I've just kept in the same place. So these are all sketched and digitised. Now, there's one well-known carving up there, which is this one, which is the mark of the comity, or known locally as the thieves' mark. Now, this is carved a square into the bedrock, and the letters BPLE, and 1858 is carved on it as well. Now, these are the initials for the lairds of the land, and their land meets at the summit of the Mither Tap. The reason why this is up here is because in the 19th century, early 19th century, there was a colony on Bennachie, and people were living off the land rent-free. They were growing their own crops, they were making their dry stone dikes and that, and they were living off the land quite happily. But the lairds weren't very happy about this, so they eventually went to the court to get a law on where they could charge the tenants rent, and they broke the land up. So this is what the mark of comity stands for, and the initials are B is for Balquhain, P is for Pickhaple, and LE is for Logie Elphinston. So that's due the recording of the division in the colony. It was actually came apart in 1859, but this is actually dated 1858. So maybe they thought they were winning the court case and thought we'll just go up there anyway and just put in 1858 because we know we've won it anyway. But we don't know. But it was actually 1859 the court case, and they won the court so they could charge the people rent on the land of Bennachie. Now, if the lovely University of Aberdeen had given me a time machine, it would make this research a hell of a lot easier, and I'd probably found out more about the carvings. I could go and interview the people that did them probably, but they didn't give me one. But I did have something a lot better than a time machine. I had the help from Alison Kennedy, who was one of the Baileys of Bennachie. And she looked at the census records, the church records for me as well. So I managed to put some stories to some of the carvings. So I can tell you about some of them here. So we have one that's linked to the Mark of the Comity, which is AL. That could be, I would love it if it was, be Alexander Littlejohn, either senior or junior, so there was two of them. And the Littlejohns were the first documented family to break ground within the colony. They relocated from the Balquhane estate sometime between 1834 and 1838. And Alexander was one of the original colonists, like I said, and he was a mason and rhinestone diker. I think he maybe worked on the quarries as well. So he would have the tools to carve his initials into the top of the Mither Tap. It would be ace if it was him. Like I said, time machine would have helped in that one. We also have W. Fowley up here, who kindly dated it. It's very nice of this person. 1850. There was two William Fowleys, possibly father and son, living at Money Mosque. The elder one was a sawmiller and the younger a horseman. But there are also 18 males indexed with W. Fowley between the ages of 14 and 80 living in Aberdeenshire in the 1851 census. So it could have been any one of them. Next one that we have some more information on, when I find them, is D. Ray. Now, there was 3 D. Rays on the 1841 and 1851 census for Aberdeenshire, all named David, so that's what the D could possibly stand for. 1841, there was a David Ray, who was a cattle dealer living at Fainston, Kintore. Another 2 possibilities. In 1851, 2 lived in Pitsligo, and 1 lived in Old Macker, Aberdeen. One Old Macker was a quarrier, and because there's no obvious date, it could have been ascribed at any time. There was another D. Ray in the later on in the 19th century in Aberdeen. He was also a stonemason. So again, he would have the tools to maybe have carved his name up there. Another one that we know about is T. Smith. It could be a Thomas Smith, but there was 36 men with that name in the 1841 census and 34 in the 1851 census living in Aberdeenshire. And there was a couple of Smith families living in the Chapel of Gideon in the 1840s. Again, no date, so it could have been any one of them. A. Martin's another one that we have here. And he kindly dated it for us. Very nice one. Could be an Alexander Martin, although there was one Andrew Martin, 1841 census, living in Aberdeenshire. The 1841 census lists 8 possibilities for males aged 30 to 80, on assumption that in 1820 the person had to be at least aged 10, living in Aberdeenshire. The 1851 census lists 9 possibilities that are aged between 40 and 90. So we have quite a few people that could have carved A. Martin into the hill at that time. Last one I will talk about is R. Meyerson, who again kindly dated it for him. Very nice, this person. And because R. Meyerson and A. Martin are the same date, they could have been done at the same time, if the dates are correct, that is. So in 1841, there's only one R. Meyerson appears the whole of Scotland living in New Pitsligo, and he was aged 74. He could have been young enough to do that, and his occupation was a stonemason. But he doesn't appear on the 1851 census, so he may have died in the interim period. So these carvings are somehow intimate, but not yet private or anonymous. Alec Inkson's McConaughey's book, Bennachie, he wrote that he noticed people had left a mark on the Mither Tap, And the rock, he says, the rock on top is disfigured by visitors who've left their mark behind, cut out on the rock. Now he's treating this as mindless vandalism, and he thinks they shouldn't belong at the Mither Tap. So he thinks people shouldn't be carving their name into this monument of the Geary, but they did. Some of these will never be known, and they'll be forever shrouded in mystery. So we will never know. Again, in fact, that time machine for university would have helped a lot. Hint. Only joking. And granite is recognised as a difficult material to work with, because the whole of the Mither Tap is a rocky granite tor of a reddish binary compound of quartz and feldspar, and that accumulates into a flat-topped area about 16 metres long, and it's very bumpy and uneven, and they're all scattered across the top of the Mither Tap. And they're not, some of them aren't carved that deeply into the granite, probably because it's such a hard rock to carve. And people who'd have done these carvings would have been hardy people. And there's quite a few industries around the bottom of their tap. You had the quarries that were on the hill, so they would have the tools to do them. There was a timber merchants down the bottom as well, who would have had the skills to do these carvings as well. So they wouldn't be like myself going up there and spending like about 10 minutes trying to do it and giving up after. They could be up there for hours and hours because they're used to the weather, and they know that used to being outdoors and that, and they had the tools to do it. So it could have been, maybe we thought, maybe the birth of somebody's son or daughter, and they were going up there to proclaim this person was born on this year, and this is their name. It could be that. Apart from, we will never know some of them, unfortunately. So the output from this dissertation, quite a lot came out of this. I got asked by Jan in the Bennachie Centre during Archaeology Month, which was September, October, to display a poster in the Bennachie Centre so people knew about the carvings, because not a lot of people know about the carvings. So I'm kind of bringing them into the light now. So more people know about them now. I also did a leaflet with some of the carving pictures in there, like tick boxes, so people could go up and they could tick off the carvings when they find them. Fortunately, there was no prize. I was a poor student then, so there was no prize, I'm afraid. Maybe a hug, but maybe not just now, because social distancing and all that. I also attended the first Historic Graffiti Conference in Southampton, which was the 5th of October last year, in 2019. And I displayed this poster all about the carvings on the Mither Tap. A lot of people were interested in it, and people were taking photos of my poster as well, and I was kind of taking photos of them, taking photos of my poster. First time I've been at a conference, I was allowed to fangirl a bit. People were interested in my work. It was amazing. I had a dissertation itself, which was kindly marked and passed, thankfully. So it's about 100 pages and about 10,500 words, and it's got lots of photos in it as well, the carvings. I was also asked if I could write a chapter for Colin Shepherd's book even. Sorry, wrong name there, Colin Shepherd. Book, who's a local archaeologist in Aberdeenshire as well. And here's my chapter here about the carvings from the Mither Tap. If you want to read more, you can buy the book. You can learn a bit more about the carvings as well. So future work that I hope to have done this year, but unfortunately I haven't due to current situation, unfortunately, is photogrammetry. So when I was up taking photos of the carvings, I did take some photos that I could use for 3D modelling. And I've been using Agisoft software, which is AGISOFT, to create these images. I've got the student version because I'm not rich and I can't afford the full version, which I think it just does the job just as good. So these are screen grabs of the same patch of the carvings that I've done. This one is with the texture on, and this one's the texture taken off. So you just see the wireframe, the mesh wireframe below it. And it seems to show up some more information that I didn't see to start with. So hopefully, when I can get back up the Mither Tap, I hope to take another selection of carvings, of the photos of the carvings, and hopefully get some more work done on the 3D imaging of it, modelling of it as well. Now, when doing this type of thing, you can guess what plays a part in it? The weather. Being in Scotland. Again, you're best going up for this type of work. I find it's best being a cloudy day. Sun's not very good, because if it's too sunny, you can get a glare in the photos, which the software picks up. So if it's a bit overcast day, cloudy day, is a perfect reproduction of the images in the software that I found anyway. So this is still a work in progress that I'm hopefully going to be doing later on this year or next year. Hopefully get up there and get some more photos of the carvings. So many thanks to Dr. Jeff Oliver, Department of Archaeology, University of Aberdeen. He's my supervisor for this dissertation. Thanks to Alison Kennedy. Like I said before, she took her time to look at census records and church records and provide me a primary source material, and helped to collect the stories concerning some of the names that was discussed. And thanks to all my friends who I dragged up the hill. I promised a pint in the pub afterwards, it was all fine. Who supported me by coming up the Mither Tap and helping to record the carvings. And thankfully to Jan Lithgow in the Bennachie Centre, who let me store my equipment when required. And if you want to read my chapter in the book, the Bennachie and the Geedy Society, an archaeology of this history of North East Scotland, it is available to buy from the Baileys of Bennachie website, and that's the web link there you can copy and paste. So thank you very much.